Right. Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you are with me here. This is meteorologist Mike Joyce. I'm just making sure this handover went okay here. Hopefully, I didn't do it too quickly. No, it looks like we are live. We are live. All right. Good evening, everybody. This is meteorologist Mike Joyce here, taking over for Mark Spencer, who has done a fantastic job keeping folks informed on what is quite a bit of a dangerous night here across the Buckeye State. Um, okay, good. I was just checking audio again. I am going to make a couple of adjustments here while we are streaming, just to make sure that we are ready to go because we do have several areas that we are quite concerned about. Um, One of the areas that we are particularly concerned about right now is this tornado warning in northern Franklin County, particularly the Worthington area at this time. There is a tornado warning in northern Franklin County, and this is going to run until 11:15 and includes the cities of Worthington, Westerville, Minerva Park, New Albany, Sunbury, just south of you in Delaware County. It also extends into Licking County, including Johnstown and Pataskala. And the area of concern right now is going to be the I-71 and I-270 interchange. And on my radar, it does not appear that this circulation is all that strong, like Mark alluded to not long ago. But now I am starting to see another area of concern near Westerville. So uh, we have a couple areas of concern where there is some broad rotation. And this storm has been cycling on and off throughout the evening. So places like Dublin may have had some circulation pass over. This has followed along State Route 161 through Worthington and is now um, with a couple areas of circulation near the I-270 and 71 interchange, and going through the Polaris Mall area into Westerville along State Route 3. So that will be um, our main areas of concern right now here in northern Franklin County. And what I'm showing you at this moment is the terminal Doppler radar out of the Columbus airport, which is actually situated out here in Pataskala. So it's got a good view of the storm, and that's why I'm not seeing anything particularly uh, tight and concerning, but we are under a tornado warning. This has had a history of tornadoes, so we could see this tighten up at any moment, and this could tighten up between radar scans. So we want to be very, very cautious in this situation. One thing I do want to do is switch over to our regular reflectivity, which tells us where the rain is falling. And typically in these views, we can actually see whether or not there is a signature hook echo. Um, but I don't see that signature hook echo at the moment, so that's good news there. So we're going to keep tracking this storm as it works through quite a populated area, the northern suburbs of Columbus in northern Franklin and southern Delaware County. This is our only tornado warning that is current at this moment. But if we take a look in our southern zones, we do have some very strong storms that have had a history of producing tornadic weather, including this one down here near Blanchester and another through the Wilmington area. That storm has now since passed through New Vienna, Leesburg, and into Highland County, including the village of Lynchburg, and then stretching all the way back to the east side of Cincinnati, inside the 275 loop from Milford all the way into Kentucky, into Covington, seeing quite some strong storms there. So that's where we have our severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. Um, let's see. I just want to make sure that we have no immediate reports, not yet. So I'm going to keep an eye on any storm reports that pop up. Um, so that's where we're looking at right now, where some of the severe weather is. One thing I do want to check in on is some of these storms down to the south that have had a history of producing tornadoes. And as I turn on our velocity scan, so the velocity scan being what we use to track the wind speed in the storm, not seeing anything tornadic, but I certainly see a hefty wind, straight line wind potential heading just to the east of downtown Wilmington and stretching all the way from Wilmington to even Sabina. You're going to see that soon. New Vienna, Leesburg, and Washington Courthouse along US 35 maybe getting blasted with straight line wind. And we don't like to diminish the threat of straight line wind. Straight line wind is very dangerous. We've seen tons of damage in Ohio before from straight line wind. However, um, the fact that it's turning into more of a straight line wind event in our southern communities suggests to me that maybe the tornado threat is diminishing in those places. So again, I just wanted to give you an update from our storms for our southern folks, stretching from Wilmington all the way back towards Cincinnati. It's been a scary evening in the Cincinnati area. We've even had a couple confirmed tornadoes within Warren and Clinton County within the hour. So that's why we still do need to watch it. All right, let's head back up to our Franklin County storm. A little bit farther from the Wilmington radar, but we can see it is still a very strong thunderstorm. A tornado warning still in effect for northern Franklin County until 11:15. That includes southern Delaware and western Licking County, which includes Johnstown and Pataskala. Let's switch over to the Wilmington velocity, and we can see why the National Weather Service in Wilmington has decided to issue a tornado warning based on their own radar data. Right near where it says Huber Ridge. So, if you're familiar with the Westerville area, that's going to be the 161 interchange. That's going to be Dempsey Road. That's going to be State Route 3. So, a very populated area there, Blendon Township. I used to live there for about 15 months. I'm very familiar with the area. This does not include Uptown Westerville at this moment, but it does include the area right along 161. This has been following 161 almost all the way from back in Union County as it tracked through Dublin, then Worthington, and now heading toward New Albany. So if you're in Uptown Westerville, if you're in the Delaware County portion of Westerville, I would say that you're still in the threat for some gusty wind, thunder, lightning, you name it. But any rotating threat seems to be a little bit farther south, heading toward the New Albany area. So if you're in New Albany, I would be in your safe spot. If you're in Pataskala, I'd be in your safe spot. Pataskala it covers a large area, so if you're in those areas, I would be very, very mindful. And it does appear that our radar out of the Columbus airport is lagging a bit behind. So again, the same areas that I just said are in the threat for some rotating thunderstorms. So stretching all the way from the 270 161 interchange up toward Route 3. I do believe that northern portion of Westerville is not necessarily under the gun so much as the southern portion of Westerville and heading toward New Albany at this time. So, from what I understand, this remains our only tornado warning in Ohio, but we do now have a tornado warning in southwest Indiana that we're going to want to check out as well. That could very well be something to keep in mind. So this tornado warning is quite a bit away from our viewing area still, but it also goes to show that we still have a volatile atmosphere this evening for a couple more hours in some of our, especially southern portions of our viewing area, maybe south of I-70 for the next couple of hours. The fact that we still have strong thunderstorms back in Indiana still indicates that our threat isn't entirely over yet. It is diminishing, which is good news, but our threat is not entirely over yet. Oh, there we go. We can see where the storms are still popping up. All the way back in southern Indiana, including Bloomington, Indiana, the home of Indiana University. All right, but we do want to focus back here in Ohio, where the strongest threat for these storms continues to stick around. We have two severe thunderstorm warnings to track. We have this severe thunderstorm warning for northern Claremont, northern Brown, Western Highland, Southern Clinton, and Southern Warren County. That's going to run until 11:30. And then we have this other severe thunderstorm warning also running into 11:30 for Fayette, Ross, extreme southwestern Pickaway County. That does not include Circleville at this time, but it does include Bainbridge Township in Ross County, Frankfort, not including Chillicothe at this time. It does include the southern portion of Washington Courthouse, and this is for a wind threat. And the fact that this is kind of congealed all together into um a line tells me maybe the tornado threat is diminishing a little bit, but I'm getting a reading and some messages sent in from the Covington, Kentucky radar, from our other forecasters here on the team. Thank you to Tyler Phillips and Ken McNatt for helping me out here, sending me these screenshots so that I can take a look at them for you guys. It does appear that we might have some small rotations here in northern Kentucky, maybe heading into Ohio. Those would be okay. So yeah, that would maybe be near um, just outside of like Highland Heights, between Highland Heights and Newport. And if that were to cross into Ohio, that would be Anderson Township here in southwestern Hamilton County. So we're really gonna have to watch that one there over the next couple of minutes of minutes or so. Not showing up too much on the Covington terminal Doppler for the Cincinnati airport, but it does appear to be showing up on the radar out of Wilmington a little bit. So we'll watch that. So again, if you're in Anderson Township, you're not on any under any official warnings. If you're in Amelia or if you're in Western Claremont, just watch out. These could spin up quickly, so I would be very mindful of that. All right, let's head back to Columbus. Our only official tornado warning right now. Again, the same areas are where I'm concerned. So this is now moving out of the Westerville area and into the New Albany area. So if you're in New Albany, you need to be in your safe spot now. I'm not seeing a I'm not seeing a very strong couplet on our velocity, but I still do see what appears to be a very strong gust front, um, and what could be a potential area for spin ups. Again, heading into the New Albany area, Johnstown, you should be in your safe spot, and even the north side of Pataskala, you should be in your safe spot. Sunbury, this is just south of you. Westerville, Worthington, Dublin, you are in the clear. You're still technically in the tornado warning in those three communities that I just mentioned, but I would really, really be focusing on the New Albany area right now. Gahanna, OSU campus and Upper Arlington are also in this tornado warning, but again, I do believe that your threat has mostly ended. It is mostly in the New Albany section of far northeastern Franklin County, including State Route 161 in New Albany and US 62 heading from Johnstown to New Albany is where I would be most concerned at this time. So we are I understand that we have a lot of viewers right now, and we have a lot of questions about specific places. I am going to try my best to cover as many locations as I possibly can. I know that we have a lot of people concerned, but right now, my most concerning spot right now is the city of New Albany, specifically maybe just north of State Route 161. So this is going to be a relatively I'd want to call it an ex-urban area. So you're looking at some communities that are a little bit more spread out, which is good, lower population density, but you're also looking at a location that is heavily populated still. It's not rural yet. It's getting rural, but it's not rural yet. So we still have some larger population numbers here. And if there's going to be anything that I'm concerned about at the moment, it's this little area of yellow where you see this kind of the red and green kind of curves back to the west a little bit, just north of New Albany, just to the east of Westerville. So these are going to be, this is my main concern area right now. If you're anywhere along 62 and 161, that area north of New Albany, I would be in your safe spot right now, just in case this may not be on the ground, but it also may spin up at any moment. That's the kind of volatile atmosphere that we are um, looking at right now. So the nice thing about being this close to the terminal Doppler radar, it's in Pataskala, which is in the tornado warning. It is close enough that we can get these rapid radar updates. And yeah, I do see a little area right here that could potentially be rotating just north of New Albany. So that the tornado warning's in the right spot, but north of New Albany, heading toward Johnstown, you'll need to be in your safe spot. Pataskala, you're probably okay. But New Albany and Johnstown, I really do want you to be in your safe spot. It's straddling the Franklin and Delaware County line, about to impact the triple point where Franklin, Licking, and Delaware counties come together. Um, so that is our main concern right now. I know I've got a lot of questions about some other locations, so I don't want to leave all of you guys out. Unfortunately, I can only focus on one spot at once, but I'm going to try my best to hit some other spots. So we do have some other storms in our northern communities, including running right through the Mansfield, Lexington, Galleon area right now. This also extends along US 30 and south of US 30 from Jeromesville, that's in Ashland County, down toward Loudonville, north of Danville in Knox County, Millersburg in Holmes County, and even Worcester. You're probably hearing some thunder. The National Weather Service in Cleveland has not indicated that any of these storms are severe, but you're going to be hearing some rumbles of thunder, maybe some gusty wind throughout the next hour or so. Then, heading back toward the Cincinnati metro area, we now have a new special weather statement on a storm near Covington. And again, this storm near Covington is interesting. It's got a little hook on it here. It is not tornado warned, it is not severe warned, but it is concerning. And we also have this other one back here, just to the east of Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's straddling the Ohio River. So Cincinnati, you're not out of the woods just yet for severe weather, but I don't see any uh, strong areas of rotation at this time. If we switch over to our Doppler radar out of Covington, or it's actually closer to Walton, Kentucky, where the radar site is, but it's CVG, named after Covington, but it's actually down here near Walton. But still, it does give us a good view of northern Kentucky and the Cincinnati metro area. And yeah, I'm not seeing any areas of rotation, maybe some broad rotation right along where 471 and 275 come together. So that's going to impact areas like Riverbend, where Old Coney Island is, Anderson Township. But again, broad rotation, not super concerned about it at this time. And then we also have this other strong storm with some gusty wind with a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:30 for Fayette, Ross, Northern Highland, and Eastern Clinton County until 11:30. Again, that's for a wind threat. Some of these storms may be producing small hail, but again, the wind is the main threat here. All right, let's head back to our tornado warning. This is due to expire in just 6 minutes. We'll see if the National Weather Service decides to continue it. And if there's going to be any tornado concern, it's probably going to be right here north of New Albany. Again, right here we have, let's see if we can get some roads. State Route 605 right along the Delaware Franklin County line. Actually, right where all the three counties come together. That's going to be Delaware, Licking, and Franklin County. Okay. It does seem like that circulation down near Riverbend and heading into Claremont County seems to have tightened up a bit. All right, we'll take a look at that just a second. All right, but now the New Albany area, you're going to see some gusty wind. My tornado concern for you is not all that high at the moment, but again, because this does have a spin up potential, we're going to keep an eye on that as that continues to head into Licking County, and we'll see if the National Weather Service decides to extend that tornado warning further into Licking County. Although I'm thinking they may drop it. But we'll see. All right, so I do have some questions out of the Columbus Metro. I just heard the sirens stop howling here, so I live just south of downtown, and I just heard the sirens stopping their howling, which is good news. And I do want to update some other folks across the Columbus metro. I know there's a lot of you. I'm one of them. Um, and I've been seeing a lot of lightning out my window, that's for sure. But there is no tornado threat for the vast majority of Franklin County. So if you're in Upper Arlington, you are clear. If you're in downtown or near downtown like myself, you are clear. If you're in Whitehall or Bexley, you're clear. You're going to get some heavy downpours, thunder and lightning, but you're clear. If you're in Dublin or Worthington, you are now clear. So I know we had that rotation tracking along 161 all the way from about Plain City through Dublin and Worthington and then into uh, New Albany. And I guess I still hear the sirens howling a little bit. All right, well, that said, downtown Gahanna, you're good. Westerville, you're good now. You're just seeing some heavy rain, thunder, and lightning at this time. The main concern would now be heading into Licking County, and we're going to see if the National Weather Service decides this to continue this tornado warning beyond 11:15. Still hearing sirens by OSU. Okay. Yes, I am hearing them too, but we're hopefully those are going to be turned off here in about less than 4 minutes. All right, checking elsewhere. Yeah, so we did have a couple areas of concern in northern Kentucky that did spin up briefly on the Covington radar, which the Covington radar is the Doppler radar that they use for CVG Airport. It's actually down here in Walton, but it gives us a really good look at storms for northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, and there were a couple scans where it was spinning up a little bit as we tracked it into Hamilton and Claremont County, but it's looking a little better. We're gonna have to watch it though because these storms can spin up at any time. And we also, looking back into Indiana, there's a tornado warning still in Indiana, near Bedford, Indiana, which is south of Bloomington, Indiana. So these storms are not over yet. There's a lot to track still as we head into the night. But my hope is that the atmosphere is weakening a little bit and that we will see things start to taper off. That said, we have to watch them because we're seeing storms still stretching back into Indiana, but the threat is shifting south a little bit. All right, let's take a look at this severe thunderstorm warning for Ross, Fayette, Northern Highland, and Western Clinton County. You're going to probably see lightning for a while. This is a slow moving storm. The storm is okay. We have the storm is moving relatively slowly. Let's see if we can't get a little animation on this so we can just kind of track how it's moving. So yeah, what I was doing there was over the past 20 minutes or so, we have seen the storm move to the east, probably at about 30 miles per hour or so. All right, let me pause this and make sure we're getting the latest scan. We do have a new special weather statement for that line. So it looks like the National Weather Service, as this extends east into Chillicothe, that it does appear to be weakening a little bit now with a threat of about 40 miles per hour. So it looks like this storm is weakening a little bit. Good news. So for those of you who have been asking about Chillicothe, I like the trend of this storm. And actually, there's some interesting meteorology going on here that I can show you. So look at this, right where my cursor is pointing, stretching from about Alexandria, Kentucky through Williamsburg and Hillsborough. So what we're seeing here is a little area of slightly darker green, which is right ahead of the big heavy rain behind it. So what you're seeing here in this area of slightly darker green that's pushing ahead of this, that's the gust front. And typically when we see the gust front starting to break ahead of the main area of precipitation, that tells us that the storm is weakening a little bit. It's starting to gust out a little bit. And I think that's why the National Weather Service has elected to go for the special weather statement for 40-mile-per-hour wind instead of a severe thunderstorm warning, which would give us a threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind. So we still do have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 11:30. But it does appear to me that the threat is diminishing a bit for Ross County, even Northern Highland. But we still have to watch these. These are still some very powerful storms, and certainly the threat is not entirely over just yet. So we'll watch. We'll continue to watch that one there. Um, all right. So another report. The tornado warning for Franklin, Licking, and Delaware County has expired. But as soon as I said that, we now have a new tornado warning in effect for Licking County. This is going to be most of Licking County now. Uh, and this is going to run until 11:45. So we've got another half hour on this tornado warning situation again for Licking County. And let's dive into this. This is the same storm that has tracked across most of the northern Columbus metro area. And I do see a bit of an inflow notch on this on the Columbus radar. We are not very far from the Columbus radar at this point. And I do see some inflow coming into the storm from the southeast on reflectivity. Let's see if I can see it on velocity. All right, so here's what they're seeing. All right, so if you are in Johnstown, please be in your safe spot. If you are in Alexandria, Ohio, so Alexandria, Ohio is in Licking County. If you're in Granville, Denison University, you need to be in your safe spot. Newark, Heath just out of it. St. Louisville, Utica, all in this tornado warning until 11:45. Even Hanover. This does not include Buckeye Lake. Does not include Kirkersville and does no longer include Pataskala, but it does include Johnstown, which it's just south of you. So Johnstown, I would be in your safe spot. Alexandria, safe spot. Granville, you are the you are the main threat right now, but I would be in your safe spot in Newark, St. Louisville, and Utica, and everywhere in between. That is going to be State Route 661 from Granville all the way up to the US 62 interchange. So that's State Route 37. That's going to be State Route 13 between Newark and Utica. State Route 13. Again, the Licking County portion of that, the Licking County portion of US 62, also under the threat. So the velocity is not all that impressive. However, if we switch back over to precipitation mode, I do see a little hook and a little inflow notch here that I believe that's what the National Weather Service is tracking. And whenever you see that, that is one of the signs for a potential tornado situation. So we are watching that very, very carefully right near Johnstown. So if you are in Johnstown, that's where I'm most concerned. But if you're north of Alexandria and even north of Granville, including Denison University, I would be in your safe spot now. Newark, you're in the tornado warning. Be very, very mindful. St. Louisville and Utica, those are the main settlements. All right, so we have new radar update here. Yeah, I'm still seeing some inflow right near Johnstown. Let's see what our velocity looks like. All right, so we are seeing a lot of wind um, out of this storm. It seems like it's almost more of a straight line wind threat, a dangerous one that is for many of our communities. But we could be seeing some small circulations right here, right along where the storm will be gusting behind the circulation a little bit. Now between Johnstown and Alexandria, but also some little notches north of it. All right, so what we're gonna do, and I know we're kind of getting into some territory where we're far from the Wilmington radar, but we're gonna try to see if we can get a debris signature on the radar here. I'm going to try to load it up here. See if we've got any debris. We're really far from the National Weather Service radar at this point. It is showing some sort of lofted, heck, that could even be hail. I feel like it's too far from the radar to confirm whether or not we've actually got debris in the air. Um, let's see if we can get a reading out of the Columbus radar again. Either way, I would be very mindful of this. This could spin up a tornado at any moment. Um, all right, it's not the that's not loading there. All right, so we're just going to need to kind of focus on the reflectivity and the velocity out of Johnstown. So, all right, let's take a look at this storm. Again, a tornado warning in effect for northern Licking County. That is going to run until 11:45. It's moving east at 40 miles per hour, and it's radar indicated. So there's no confirmed tornado. And there is also a threat for some quarter-size hail. So maybe that's some hail in the upper atmosphere that I was seeing on the debris tracker there. The what we call it's called correlation coefficient, but essentially it allows us to track debris. And um I didn't see anything too concerning that it might be debris. And yeah, our excellent forecaster Tyler Phillips here, with the Ohio News and Weather Bell Park Weather Network. Also agreeing that it's probably upper atmosphere hail, especially because of the way the radar is oriented and just where that scan is. I don't think that's tornado debris. Also, if we look at the radar here between Johnstown and Alexandria, it does seem like it's getting a little bit more messy, which could indicate that any circulations that are trying to develop may be weakening. Um, which is good. We want that. But if we switch back over to velocity, we do still have a few concerning areas. So anywhere between Alexandria or Johnstown is where we're really going to be watching this, particularly just south of Johnstown along US 37, and then also some kind of almost some garbage radar data. That's the purple you see. Um, that radar data, it's basically gaps in what the radar is able to see. And we don't like that because it's not giving us the best picture. But that's going to happen with these terminal Doppler radars. These airport radars have some more limitations than the National Weather Service radars do. But they can still help us a lot, and it's still very helpful, and it's still our best look at this storm. Okay, all right. So in the latest velocity scan, right here along 37, just out of Johnstown, that's where you're going to need to be in your safe spot right now. We do have what appears to be a velocity couplet. So we have wind moving away from the radar here and toward the radar here. So toward, away. Okay, yeah. So the rotation would be here, and it would be right here. So yeah, south of Johnstown, north of Alexandria, and it looks like we have just some bad data, maybe some briefly gusty wind out here near Granville. All right, so Newark, yes, you are in the tornado warning. If you're in Newark, I would be in your safe spot. However, the circulation right now is between Johnstown and Alexandria. So if you're in Newark, you actually do have a little bit of time to prepare. The sirens may be going off there in Licking County. Pataskala, you're okay. Hebron, you're okay. Buckeye Lake, you're okay. All of Franklin County is okay now. Just some thunder and lightning. But again, it's this area near Johnstown that I am most concerned about. Okay, it's kind of strengthened ever so slightly in this scan. So if there's going to be any rotation, any spin up tornado that's occurring, it's going to be just east of State Route 37 and running parallel to US 62 between Johnstown and Alexandria. So that is what we're looking at right now. All right. So we're gonna stick with this particular storm because it is the strongest storm and it is the most concerning. And I'm about to get a new radar scan in here. So we're gonna wait one more radar scan before we check other places. And I'm gonna keep tabs with the rest of my team who are doing an awesome job, kind of keeping an eye on things that maybe I'm not seeing. Because when you're doing this, you can only focus on one spot at once. So I can read the comments and I can read my other teammates here. So I know everyone's kind of looking out for different spots and any indication that I need to cover other places, please do. But for right now, I do want to focus on this as it is the strongest area and most concerning area at this time. Okay, there's our new scan. All right, it looks a little weaker. All right, we like to see that. But there's still an area of concern there, so we're really going to be watching it. Even though it does appear, we might even be seeing some slight spinning there too. A lot of times with these situations, you can even get two brief tornadoes not too far from each other. So that's why the tornado warning is so large. If you're familiar with Central Ohio geography, um, Licking County is a large county. So this is a large area. This is a lot of communities. It's a lot of people that are currently under the warning, but it's because there could be the potential for spin ups anywhere in this region that we need to be taking our precautions. Again, including Granville, Alexandria, Johnstown. I think you're in the clear now, but Alexandria and Granville, and even St. Louisville and Utica, we're going to have to watch out very, very soon. So, all right. So, as promised, I said after that next scan, I would check out some other areas. So, let's do that. Um, let's see if we have any areas of concern. Again, no severe thunderstorm warnings, really, no other warnings at all in our coverage area. Although, if we take a look back in Indiana, we do have one tornado warning near Bedford, Indiana. And we have a severe thunderstorm warning just to the east of Bloomington, Indiana, which includes the city of Columbus, Indiana. Not Columbus, Ohio, but Columbus, Indiana. And that's going to follow I-74 potentially into the Cincinnati metro, hopefully weakening. Hopefully, the atmosphere in Cincinnati is a bit turned over, meaning the energy is used up over Cincinnati. Can't confirm it, but that is generally a meteorological trend that we'll see there. But again, so that confirms to me right now that the major area I need to still stay focused on is that tornado warning for northern Licking County. We do have some messy storms stretching from Mansfield to Canton. So US 30 is going to be a rough, lightning, small hail, heavy rain of a drive right now, including Worcester. You're right in the middle of it. And Akron, you're good for now. And in fact, even Akron, you might even see this storm completely miss you to the south. Maybe you'll see some rain. You're probably seeing some lightning down to your southwest, but that's probably about all for Akron. All right, so we really do need to focus back in on the tornado warning in Licking County. Still some heavy rain back in New Albany. But you are out of the threat. If you are in Franklin County at all, you are out of the threat. But here's why we need to really focus on this storm. It's right here. It's not terribly strong, but right here, now leaving the State Route 37 corridor, and now more concerning toward the north side of Granville. So this is going to be State Route 661. And then St. Louisville. So if you're in Utica or St. Louisville, I really want you to be watching out for any spin up tornado potential. And if you're in Newark and Granville, some very gusty winds, and still also the threat for a spin up tornado potential. We're getting a lot of bad data out of Newark right now, and I hate to say it, that purple is basically where the radar isn't able to see. It's one of the limitations with the terminal Doppler radars that we get out of our airports. Still, it's better than nothing, and we're going to try to work through these radar gaps. But again, what I'm really concerned about right now, which appears to be over open farmland, but we could also be seeing that crossing 661 and some non-state routes. So those are going to be the country roads that ODOT does not maintain. ODOT, by the way, ODOT only maintains state and U.S. routes and interstates. All other roads are maintained by whatever municipality you live in, or private enterprise. Okay, so that area of circulation is weakened a little bit. Good news, but we with any storm, with any tornado warning, you still have to really watch out for some more spin up potential. Okay, so let's see here. Still in Newark, we're getting some bad data. We can't exactly see what's going on in Newark. So treat this as a tornado warning. Treat this as a being in your safe spot potential if you're in Newark. Yeah, loud thunder in Newark. We actually had somebody ask a good question. Does the radar, Jenny asked, does the radar from Cleveland reach that far? So yes, it actually does, but it's still scanning really high in the atmosphere. So if we take a look at the storm from the Cleveland radar, all we kind of see is heavy rain. We see that, which is useful. But it really gives us a similar view to what we see out of the Wilmington radar, which I'm going to switch to. Yeah, not a whole lot different. So the Weather Service radars aren't super useful here. But that's a great question. What's happening is we're both so far from the Wilmington and the Cleveland radars that we're scanning about 6 to 9,000 feet in the atmosphere, and that's not very great for tornado detection. And it's almost impossible to detect weak but still destructive tornadoes. So we're talking about your EF zeros and EF ones, the type that will tear a barn apart, knock over trees, maybe tear a roof off a house but leave the structure standing. That's going to be the type of tornado that we could potentially be seeing here in Licking County. Still very dangerous. I don't want to undersell that, but we can't see that about 6 to 9,000 feet up. So that's why we have to try our best to depend on the radar out of the Columbus terminal, which is in Pataskala. Great question, though. Great question. Okay, so let's switch back to that Columbus radar. Um, yeah, yeah. Pittsburgh's radar can actually reach it too, but it's not great. We're talking over 10,000 feet in the air for Pittsburgh, probably, which isn't completely useless, but it's not great. All right. So, let's see. Yeah, still that area, not very strong. We might see this maybe transitioning into a storm that's gusting out as well. So, gusting out doesn't necessarily mean the storm isn't dangerous or isn't strong, but what it means is that it's transitioning into more of a straight line wind threat because I don't see any major pockets of rotation. But again, we still have that bad data over Newark, so I don't want to sound the all clear if there's something hiding in that bad data. So let's stick with this until the tornado warning um, expires at 11:45. So we're going to stick with this for another 13 minutes. And if the National Weather Service continues to indicate the threat for a tornadic situation, we're gonna stick with it as well. If it does, the next in line would be northern Muskingum and southern Coshocton County. Again, there's no tornado warning for either of you yet, but those would be the areas that would see it next if this storm holds together. Because this storm has held together quite a long time, all the way from Indiana, all the way since before the sun set, hours and hours ago. This has been our storm. This has produced tornadoes. And that's why I think that's another reason why the Weather Service, even though we're entering an area of bad weather radar data, is because of its history, because we're still seeing some occasional signatures popping up on the Columbus terminal, and even some broader signals out of our Weather Service radars in Cleveland and Wilmington, like some of you have asked about. I think that's why they've elected to continue this tornado warning until 11:15. So let me see if I can get an update on this warning. I'm going to refresh my feed here. Do not see an update unless I'm missing something. Well, hopefully we get an update soon. If not, if we get an update, you're actually going to see it automatically populate on the map. You'll see this red blinking box is going to trim back a little bit, so that would indicate that the tornado warning is getting trimmed a little bit. So no update there yet, but also no couplets. Basically what a couplet is it's when you see that red and green wrapping around each other. That's the telltale sign that something bad is happening. But I don't see that. I do see some pockets of strong wind, and I actually see the data seems to be cleaning up a little bit. And by that I mean you're seeing less purple. Again, the purple indicates the bad data, some pixels that aren't showing up. And I think that's just that's because the storm is moving, so it's orienting itself better to the radar beam just because it's moving. So that's helpful, but yeah, again, nothing too terrible. But again, still a tornado warning for Licking County until 11:45. That's another 10 minutes. No update yet. But we did get a radar update, and again, some better data coming in. Still some strong wind north of Newark. I'm indicating that these brighter reds are certainly some stronger wind near Newark, and some, maybe even some gusty wind on the back edge of the storm. Along right now we have State Route 661 north of Granville. So stay in your safe spot. If you're in Newark, St. Louisville, Hanover, Granville, stick in that safe spot for now, because we could see this spin back up. But right now, I'm not entirely indicating a major tornado threat at this time. Rain and hail in Newark, thanks to Michelle. Thank you for the report. Will this storm make it to Cambridge? Hard to say at this time. It has a history of keeping its strength, but I think Cambridge, you're still an hour away from it. Maybe a little less, maybe 50 minutes, but we'll kind of have to see how it evolves over the next hour or so. All right, let's zoom back in. We got a new radar scan. All right, so that same area along 661 between Granville, St. Louisville, and Newark. Still some concern, but nothing that is a major tornado indication at this time. Basically, what I mean is when there's concern, meaning, hey, that's where it could spin up, so watch out for it there. But it doesn't look like it's on the ground right now. All right. So let's take a broader view, a broader picture, and take a look at what we've got going on. We still have some storms to the north, so that's going to be Worcester to Canton, New Philly. None of these are severe. That one lone tornado warning in Licking County that'll run for the next 8 minutes. It's 11:37 now, so we've got 8 more minutes on that. And then we have one severe thunderstorm warning back here near Columbus, Indiana. So these storms are tracking to the east. So Cincinnati, you're still going to be in for a bumpy ride for a couple more hours. Still some thunder and lightning. I am hopeful that our atmosphere doesn't have as much energy as it did an hour or two ago to prompt any tornado warnings. But again, with any thunderstorm, especially on a volatile night like this, we're going to be watching it for a while. But that's it. Those are the only two warnings that we have at this time. I do want to note, also a very important note, we do have a flash flood warning. That's going to run until 11:30 for Butler and Preble County here in Ohio, and then another one that's going to run until 2 a.m. for southern Warren. So that includes Mason, even Loveland, Blanchester, northern Claremont, so Milford and Sims Township, places like that in Hamilton County. That runs until 2 in the morning. So with all that rain, a flooding threat there as well. Actually, I did forget to mention there is this tornado warning back here near Bedford, Indiana, that will expire at 11:45. I think that will be allowed to expire, but we'll have to double check on that again as that approaches our viewing area. But again, the only warning we have really right now is this tornado warning in Licking County that looks pretty impressive on our distant Wilmington radar, and a little bit on our Cleveland radar too. But really, it's this Columbus Doppler or terminal Doppler out of Pataskala that we are concerned about. And the Wilmington radar still does have some very strong upper level rotation. So so we're looking at about 7,000 feet in the atmosphere at this point, near Johnstown. You see the greens, you see the reds, but we're scanning so high in the atmosphere that I think this is rotating, but upwards, not at the surface. It's not a tornado. It's some broad rotation. And if we turn our Columbus radar back on, the terminal Doppler out of Pataskala, yeah, there we go. We just got a new scan. A lot better data now. I think because that storm isn't blocking the radar beam as much anymore. Basically, terminal Dopplers aren't as powerful as Weather Service radars. So they can't scan as far, and they're not as good as seeing the other side of the storm that Weather Service radars are. Because they're not so powerful, sometimes they can't see the other side. And that's essentially what was happening when you saw all that purple there. The storm was oriented so that you couldn't see that part of the storm. But now the storm has moved, so it's oriented a little better and we can see the storm better. And yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of rotation. You see this green and this red. I mean, that could be some broad rotation between Utica and St. Louisville, but nothing that I think is a tornado on the ground from at least what I can see. Um, so yeah, still some broad rotation, still the potential for a spin up tornado, but the threat for a strong tornado I think is diminishing, and the overall major damage threat seems to be diminishing as well. Okay, so we have a new scan. This new scan, all right. See, again, this is why we keep talking about it, because this scan shows a little bit of a stronger area of higher wind south of St. Louisville, where State Route 13 and State Route 657 come together. So if you're familiar with St. Louisville, if you're familiar with Newark and Utica, northern Licking County, right between Utica and Newark in St. Louisville, there does appear to be an area of some stronger wind. Not a lot of rotation, but it is an area of stronger winds. So maybe the terminal Doppler is seeing something that I can't see. What I mean by that is maybe the storm is blocking what would be the inbound signals from this storm, or the wind rushing into the storm from the backside. The terminal Dopplers don't see that side of the storm as well. So again, we're going to continue this as it is a tornado threat for the next 4 minutes until 11:45. I don't think we have an update from our friends in Wilmington. This is still the Wilmington, Ohio coverage area. Still going to run until 11:45. So hopefully this will be allowed to expire. We're still going to watch for a little while because of this storm's history, but other than a strong wind threat and maybe some broad rotation, I do think our tornado threat is weakening a little bit. All right, so let's recap again. I know we got a lot of questions about specific areas, and I understand we get that, but I'm trying my best to answer everybody's question to the best of my ability, while focusing on the most dangerous part. All right, we have a tornado warning for Licking County for 3 more minutes right here. Columbus Metro, you are in the clear. You're probably seeing some lightning. So let's say you're in downtown Columbus. Maybe you're seeing some lightning to your northeast. That's the Licking County storm you're seeing. All right, down here in Cincinnati, a lot of lightning and thunder. You do have the 40-mile-per-hour wind threat with this storm from Lawrenceburg to Covington through downtown Cincinnati. That's going to include the University of Cincinnati, Xavier University, trekking up 74, back toward Harrison, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, into Dearborn County, Indiana, Versailles, Indiana. One severe thunderstorm warning back here near Columbus, Indiana, but that is out of our viewing area right now, but I just want to talk about it briefly. This strong storm going through Hillsborough, it looks like this one could be producing some small hail. I wonder if we'll see this potentially warned for a hail and wind threat. That, by warned, I mean a severe thunderstorm warning. But not strong enough for. Well, all right. There does seem to be some pretty strong wind exiting Hillsborough between Sinking Spring and Bainbridge Township. So that's going to be south of US 50. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this gets a severe thunderstorm warning on it. It does seem to have strengthened a little bit on the straight line wind threat. Not a tornado threat right now, but it does appear to have strengthened a little bit. So that's going to be State Route 41, 753, 506, entering Pike County. So Pike County, northern Adams County, we're going to have to watch out for maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts out of that. So if anyone in Hillsborough can report, that would be fantastic. All right. So for the last minute of this tornado warning, let's take a look back at it once again. Tornado warning in Licking County for less than a minute. We'll see if the Weather Service decides to extend it. I don't see evidence that they should. However, this broad rotation that is indicated on radar, again, broad meaning we've got some green here surrounded by red, but it's not very tightly wound. Yeah, I could see them wanting to err on the side of caution because of the storm's history, but as of right now, I haven't gotten any indication that the Weather Service is going to extend it, but we will watch out for that. So if they don't extend it, then the threat is going to shift to, again, this storm down here in Highland and Pike, and maybe southern Ross County. This is looking a little gusty. So Sinking Stream, Sinking Spring, Peebles, Bainbridge Township, Piketon. We're gonna stick with this for at least a few more minutes just to see if the Weather Service decides to issue any kind of alert on that one. It does appear that they have sounded the all clear in Licking County. So good news there. Although you're probably still going to see a gusty wind threat. We still have to watch this storm because of its history and because there is a little broad rotation in it. But the Weather Service has elected to expire the tornado warning. So we like to see that. All right. So what I think my plan is now is because our severe weather threat is overall diminishing. We'll do a quick recap and then we might drop the stream here shortly. Okay. That said, we do have an update on the storm I was just mentioning in Highland, Pike, and Ross County. Okay. The National Weather Service has issued a special weather statement valid until 12:30 in the morning because they are indicating that this line of gusty wind could potentially have gusts up to 50 miles per hour. And I agree with that. I think 50 miles per hour is a good estimate of what is going on. Let's see if we can take a look at what this special weather statement says. All right. So, strong thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 8 miles west of Norfolk Village to near Williamsburg. Okay. So, all right, yeah, that's basically right here. And it's moving quick. It's moving, well, actually, it's not moving that quick. It's moving at 25 miles per hour. So it's a bit of a slow mover, but, it has some gusty wind potential. No severe thunderstorm warning, no tornado warning. But we do want to let folks know in these areas that I'm not forgetting about you. That you might have a gusty storm, maybe a couple trees or branches coming down out of this storm. Wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail. So half-inch hail, rough. Think of a penny in diameter. Um, yeah, and that's it for now. So we'll watch it. We'll watch it carefully. I'll stick with it for a couple more minutes for a couple more radar scans, maybe. And if it shows signs of weakening or strengthening, if it's going to strengthen, I'll stay with you. If it's going to weaken, I'm probably going to drop the stream for a bit, and then regroup. Maybe discuss with a game plan moving forward with the rest of our Ohio News and Weather and Bell Park crew. All right. Well, we do have a little update to give you up here in Northeast Ohio. We do have a special weather statement for this storm that many of you have been talking about, now exiting Worcester, but impacting north of New Philadelphia and Canton. But the special weather statement is more so for Carroll, Columbiana, and Jefferson County, for wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour and maybe some half-inch hail. So that's not a half dollar. Half dollar would be quite large. That's going to be up to a penny, which is still big, still would hurt if it hit you or your pets. So maybe not a good time to have the dog running around the yard. And that's going to impact Carrollton, Minerva, Lisbon, maybe even East Liverpool, and then head into Pennsylvania. And the nice thing about this area is the radar coverage gets a little bit better as the storm approaches Pittsburgh. We have a couple powerful radars, including the Weather Service radar and the terminal Doppler out of the Pittsburgh airport, that can be very helpful to track that storm. All right, let me give you one last summary of what's going on. We only have one strong storm at the moment worthy of a severe thunderstorm warning. That is back here in Indiana. So Columbus, Indiana, under the gun for that. Oh, well, never mind. We actually do have a new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. All right, so we're going to stick with you for a little longer then. This is going to be Coshocton County and northern Muskingum. So remember when I was talking about if they were going to extend that tornado warning into Coshocton and Muskingum County? Well, they've elected to go severe thunderstorm warning. However, they did tag it tornado possible. And again, I believe they've done that because of the history of this storm and any potential areas of rotation that might come up. So let's see what we got. On the base velocity, ooh, we are not getting very good data out of the Columbus radar. Ooh, this is a rough area to be tracking storms. We do not have good radar. We're getting too far from the Columbus Doppler out of the Columbus Airport radar out of Pataskala. All this brown you see, that's bad data. Although I do see some areas of maybe some potential rotation, some broad rotation. It's still the same broad rotation I've been looking at for a while, um, just outside of St. Louisville. So that is probably what they're tracking, and then any gusty wind that comes ahead of it into mostly Coshocton County. I think Coshocton County has the greatest threat from this storm. It looks like it's going to track a bit to the northeast. All right, severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, all right. We also have a new severe thunderstorm warning as well. That same area I was talking about before. The Weather Service has elected to upgrade this to a severe thunderstorm warning, and I can see why. We have this severe thunderstorm warning until 12:30 in the morning now for mostly Pike County, but a small portion of Ross County. That's going to be Bainbridge Township, and a small portion of northern Adams County, and a very small portion of Scioto County until 12:30 a.m. Again, the main threat from this is going to be straight line wind. So if you know anybody in Piketon, Waverly, if that's you, Sinking Spring, Bainbridge Township, even Lucasville, a bit ahead of the storm, not in the warning, but a bit ahead of it, I would be keeping a mindful eye for some straight line wind damage. I don't see any tornado threat with this. This appears to be a straight line wind threat. Again, for Pike County mostly, maybe northern Adams and northern Scioto County until 12:30. We'll see if this weakens, although we just got a new scan in and it does not appear to be weakening. In fact, it might have even strengthened just a little bit. Thankfully, here, our radar coverage is still pretty good. The Wilmington radar back here in Wilmington is not terribly far, and we can still get a good sight of this storm down here in Pike County. So you're going to get blasted with wind in Pike County. Piketon, you are not far away. This storm is moving east at 35 miles per hour. So some locations: Waverly, Piketon, Marshall, Bainbridge Township, or the village of Bainbridge rather, Pike Lake, Kincaid Springs, Belfast, Cynthiana, Highland, Holiday, and then some small towns in between there. That includes the Serpent Mound. So if you're familiar with where the Serpent Mound is, so this one is not tagged tornado possible, but I think this is going to be our strongest straight line wind threat that we've seen all evening. So again, it's going to be wind coming straight out of the west, right at you at 60 miles per hour. That could bring down trees. The ground is very saturated, so we could see some large trees toppled over. If not trees, branches coming down. So again, ooh, and then it looks even stronger in this scan here. So we're going to stick with this one here. Quite a bit of a strong thunderstorm moving into Pike County. And again, US 23 in Pike County, you're going to probably get impacted by this in about 20 minutes. Sinking Spring, it's on top of you right now. Piketon, you've got about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's it. It's picking up forward speed. It was moving at 25 miles per hour, now moving at 35 miles per hour. All right, let's switch back to our other storm here. Not very good radar coverage. We have a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. So basically what that means is they're not confident enough that this storm could produce a tornado in an immediate sense. But when it's tagged tornado possible, it means it's a strong, severe thunderstorm, and it could produce a tornado at any time. But the threshold is a little bit lower than a tornado warning. And the reason why we don't go with just a straight up tornado warning is because in weather we get cry wolf syndrome a lot. Many of us have been under tornado warnings in our lives and nothing happened where we were. The Weather Service in particular, and in the science of meteorology, we're really trying to eliminate that cry wolf syndrome. We don't want too many false alarms so that people feel safe. Oh, it's another tornado warning. I'll be fine. I've never hit before. We're really trying to refine that. And honestly, because it's been so refined, I would trust a tornado warning now more than ever because they're only drawing these polygons, these areas of warning where they really think there's a credible threat. 15 years ago, an entire county would be under a tornado warning, where only maybe a third of that county needed to be under the warning. So you had a lot of cry wolf because you had a lot more tornado warnings. You had a lot more storms that didn't verify. But now we are so much better at it that we really need to take these warnings even more seriously now because they're that more precise here in 2024. Okay, um, let's look at the storm though. Again, right here along State Route 79. This is actually still in Licking County, but it would be heading into Coshocton County along State Route 79. I see a little blip on the radar that might have some broad rotation. If anything, that might spin up into something. But we're going to kind of focus on the wind threat with this. We also have a threat for, okay, so 3/4 inch hail. So that's going to be maybe nickel sized, maybe slightly bigger than a nickel, in between a nickel and a quarter size hail. We have a lot of cold air aloft, so when we have that cold air aloft, that's what can drive hail even when it's hot and muggy out on these warm days. All right, new scan. All right, looking a little weaker in this new scan, but again, it's that same area that we're really watching to see if anything's going to spin up. All right, so back down to our other storm here in Pike County. Ooh, yeah. This Pike County storm's got a lot of wind in it. We gotta take this one pretty seriously. So Piketon, be away from windows. Waverly, be away from windows. Not a tornado threat, but a strong straight line wind threat. I would not be surprised if maybe we saw some very isolated gusts out of this up to 70 miles per hour. So a little bit stronger. The Weather Service has not um, officially indicated that, but boy, this radar signature is pretty powerful. Mostly in Pike County, mostly western Pike County, heading straight toward Piketon. Waverly, heading straight toward US 23. That's the main route through Pike County that connects the Ohio River and Columbus. So a lot of people travel this road. Why don't we stick with this storm until we get a new scan and see if we get any updates on the strength of these gusts. And that could even indicate that we might see an update on the overall threat of the storm. So again, Pike County, really it's just Pike County at the moment that's getting the strongest storms. Or the strongest bit of the storm. Okay, yeah, there's a new scan and it's maintaining its strength about the same. So again, if you're in Piketon or Waverly, please be away from windows. This has the potential to do damage to trees. If you're in maybe a mobile home near a lot of trees, be very, very careful, especially large trees that could be potentially ripped up. We have a lot of saturated ground. It's so easy to pull big trees out of the ground when it's saturated. The water just doesn't allow that ground to grip all that well. All right. So that is the case in Pike County. Back up here in Coshocton and Muskingum County. Let's see if we've got anything on the Columbus radar. Again, some broad rotation about to cross into Coshocton County. Not a whole lot of concern in Muskingum County. Maybe some gusty wind, some heavy rain, thunder, and lightning, but that's about it. Let's see if we can get a look from the Pittsburgh radar, because we are entering Pittsburgh's territory now with this severe thunderstorm warning. So yeah. They said this is moving east at 40, and I believe that according to our radar. But right now the main hazard is 60-mile-per-hour wind, maybe some small hail. And again, it is tagged tornado possible just because of the history. Although I don't see anything to potentially indicate that. Maybe just some strong gusty wind moving into Coshocton County. So if you're in Coshocton along US 36, I'd be mindful of that. All right, and then again, we've got the storm down here in Pike County. Also numerous flash flood warnings. We have a new flash flood warning. This is going to be for northeastern Franklin, southeastern Delaware, and most of Licking County until 3 a.m. due to all the rain. So we could see some flooding there. So in Franklin County, that's going to be Gahanna, Westerville, the eastern Polaris region, New Albany, Johnstown, in Licking County, Pataskala, Heath, Newark, all under that flash flood warning. I'm not concerned about additional rain. I'm concerned about the rain that's already fallen and still some flooding that can occur because of that. All right, so again, we just have these two severe thunderstorm warnings. Coshocton and Muskingum, that's going to run until 12:30, so another half hour on that one. And then we've got this other severe thunderstorm warning for mostly Pike County. We do have a small percentage of Ross, Adams, and Scioto County in it as well, although it does seem like the threat is primarily in Pike County. Even some hail. We're seeing some darker purples and some blacks, so that could indicate maybe some penny-size hail, pea-size hail for sure, I think, but some penny-size hail at most. Thankfully, large hail isn't as common at night as other threats are, like straight-line wind and maybe the occasional spin-up tornado. But we can see these brighter wind indicators here that still show a significant straight line wind threat moving through Pike County. I'm hoping this will weaken. It's weaker since the last scan, but that's just one scan. We're going to need to kind of see a little bit more data on this one. All right. So again, if you're in southeastern Ohio, so some populated areas like Jackson County, Athens County, Meigs County, Lawrence, Gallia County, Vinton County. Yeah, we're gonna kind of watch out for this one area of wind. We're gonna see how it tracks through Pike County to see how it impacts other places, but you're gonna need to be mindful over the next hour, I do believe. Still showing a strong gusty wind signature. Piketon, you got about 5 minutes, if that. So away from windows and inside a sturdy structure, because this could be knocking some 60-mile-per-hour wind your way. So that's that. We'll watch that scan back up here. Coshocton County, still tagged with that tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning. Still not seeing a lot of evidence, though, although it's really, really difficult to track storms, especially spin-up tornadoes in this area due to the nature of the radar beam at this point. We do see some areas of some broad rotation, but it's getting so far from the Columbus radar. I am not entirely sure that we are out of the woods just yet, but that is why the Weather Service out of Pittsburgh has decided to issue a tornado possible severe thunderstorm warning. And we do still have this severe thunderstorm warning back here now south of Columbus, Indiana as well. But that one might actually be moving. Hopefully that's going to dive south and weaken a bit as it heads across the Ohio River, maybe in Kentucky rather than Ohio. The storms aren't moving all that fast. They're moving at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. They're picking up speed, which at night when they pick up speed like this, a lot of times they are, transitioning from a tornado threat rather to a straight line wind threat. We still do have that strong thunderstorm up in Canton, Carroll County, New Philadelphia. Again, that is not tornado warned. That is not severe thunderstorm warned. But it's a strong storm. We did get a new update from the Cleveland National Weather Service for Stark County. So that includes Canton, where you're hearing a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, a lot of rain. You could have wind gusts up to about 40 miles per hour and maybe hail up to a quarter of an inch. Pea-size hail. That's about it out of that storm. So our two severe thunderstorm warnings, again, for Coshocton County until 12:30 a.m. This is where it's tagged tornado possible. And let's see if we can't get some radar data here. Okay, radar data is lagging a little. All right, yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of evidence for tornado or even severe weather or severe straight line wind event with this storm. We're still going to watch it because of its very broad rotation on the Columbus radar and because of its history, but that's about that. So we'll watch that. The one I'm a little more concerned about, though, is this one down here in Pike County. This one is still putting a swath of pretty powerful straight line wind right through the center of Pike County as we speak. So that's Piketon, Waverly, anywhere along State Route 104, State or US 23, State Route 32. That's the Appalachian Highway. You are about to get blasted with some pretty mean straight line wind. And let's see if I have an update from the Weather Service. We might. We might just have one here. Let's see here. Okay, no update. But again, yeah, severe straight line wind coming right through central Pike County as we speak. All right. So we've had a couple questions. I'll try to get to a couple. Canton, you have a non-severe thunderstorm. Fairfield County, you're in good shape. Columbus, rest of central Ohio, you're in good shape. The Miami Valley of Ohio, you're in good shape. Cleveland, Sandusky, Toledo, even Youngstown, I think you're going to be all right. It's pretty much just southeastern Ohio now that has the threat. And the storm I'm most concerned about right now is the straight line wind and hail threat here in central Pike County, including Piketon and Waverly until 12:30. And also back here, I do want to mention still a very dangerous and often very deadly part of severe weather coverage is making sure we mention the flooding threat. There is a flash flood warning for a good portion of the Cincinnati metro area over the next couple of hours. There's still a lot of heavy rain falling there. So what that means is that we could still see this on top of the lightning and some gusty wind that may follow coming through the Cincinnati metro. That is still a problem. So some flooding, flash flooding, which is very dangerous. The National Weather Service's motto is turn around, don't drown. And there's a reason for that because cars can only withstand about 6 inches of water. And that's when you can start floating some of the lighter cars and even some heavier cars like trucks at about a foot of water. And sometimes you can't even tell how deep it is. So it's best to just not risk it and turn around, don't drown. Cincinnati area in particular, I'm concerned about the flash flooding. Again, we do have this severe thunderstorm warning back here in Indiana. I think that's going to dive south into Kentucky. But we're still watching this one back here near Piketon and Waverly. You are about to get blasted with some pretty strong straight line wind. All right, we do have an update from the National Weather Service. The storm is moving east at 30 miles per hour. Okay, or sorry, 35 miles per hour rather. Still 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and up to penny-size hail in this update. I certainly believe that the radar is indicating exactly that. So you can see Piketon and Waverly. You're basically, it's on you now. The radar doesn't show that it's exactly on top of you, but what we've noticed over the years of using Doppler weather radar for tracking storms is the radar is getting to be about 40 miles away back here in Wilmington. So that means it's starting to scan a little higher in the atmosphere again. And as it does that, what's happening at the surface might be displaced from what we're seeing about 3,000 to 4,000 feet up in the air. So I do believe we probably have some strong surface winds in Piketon and Waverly right now. We learned this lesson during the tragedy at the Indiana State Fair about 10 years ago when some concert goers were tragically killed with straight line wind coming through the Indiana State Fair. We learned that just because the radar shows that the wind is still slightly east of Piketon and Waverly, it might be already ahead of it. That's due to the limitations in radar scanning and just the fact that it's scanning higher up in the atmosphere and not getting exactly what we see at the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and say Waverly and Piketon, you're getting blasted with some pretty strong straight line wind right now. Hopefully this will weaken, and hopefully the weather service will see some weakening, and we want to see that. But for right now, we have okay. So actually, that scan does look a little weaker, so that's good. And if it's weakening as it goes away from the radar, that's a good sign as well. So we'll keep an eye on it for the next 20 minutes or so. But right now, you're probably getting blasted with some pretty damaging straight line wind right through central Pike County, right along US 23, including Piketon and Waverly as well. So we'll see if the Weather Service decides to issue another severe thunderstorm warning. If they do, I'll be sure to update you about it. If not, I will also let you know what they're thinking and my thinking is on the situation. All right, looking back at Coshocton County. I think Muskingum County is in the clear, other than some gusty wind, maybe some small hail. But now I do see an area of some tighter rotation right along the Muskingum and Coshocton County line, and I'm getting a message. Okay, all right. Well, I'll report on that in just a second. Some damage reports across the state of Ohio that I'll be able to report here for you shortly. I just don't want to. I don't want to bounce around between storm coverage and storm damage coverage too much. But yeah, we could potentially be seeing maybe some rotation tightening up here in Coshocton County. So we'll see what the Weather Service out of Pittsburgh thinks about that. Again, that's why they tagged it tornado possible, because of that threat there. But we're going to watch it. Nothing confirmed yet, but we are going to watch it. We are far enough from the radar that it looks like a broad rotation, but we're going to watch to see if that tightens up at all. It very well could be. So again, if you're in Coshocton County, you are under severe thunderstorm warning, tag tornado possible. I would be in your safe spot, and that even includes Dresden, which is in far northern Muskingum County. If you're in Zanesville, I'm not worried. If you're in Cambridge, I'm not worried. But Coshocton and Dresden, we're going to really watch out for this one and see if it survives a couple scans and maybe weakens up a little bit. Okay. All right, so we have some new updates on our storm down here. New severe thunderstorm warnings. We have 2 new severe thunderstorm warnings. We now have one for Ross County, tag tornado possible. Okay, I'm wondering if it's this little area south of Chillicothe. Otherwise, straight line wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. All right, something to watch. And then we also have another severe thunderstorm warning until 12:45 a.m. This is extending now through the rest of Pike County, northern Scioto, not Jackson County yet, until 12:45. Okay. So again, if you're in Pike County at all, now into eastern Pike County, Beaver, you're going to be wanting to watch out. Piketon, it's still on top of you. And then any rural smaller towns in between there to watch out for. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning, tag tornado possible south of Chillicothe. That's going to be along State Route 104 and between US 50 and US 35. That tornado possible region might be of concern. All right, let's go back up to our Coshocton County storm. Let's look out of Pittsburgh here, the Pittsburgh radar. Nothing impressive on the Pittsburgh radar. That's good news. All right, only the Columbus radar is showing this area of gusty wind, possibly low-level rotation. So the Weather Service has not decided to warn that, so that's good news. The data is not great. We're pretty far away from radar, but we're watching that really closely. So I'd be in your safe spot if you're in Coshocton County. And I would also be in a safe spot in southern Ross and Pike counties right now. So just to recap, here's what we're looking at. We are looking at, here, put reflectivity. We are looking at a severe thunderstorm warning, tag tornado possible near Coshocton and Dresden. We're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning, tag tornado possible on the south side of Chillicothe. With 60-mile-per-hour wind potential and hail up to 3/4 of an inch. And then we're also looking at a stronger straight line wind threat heading into Pike County just south of that. So that is our overall threat. Now to get to some damage reports. I'm getting news out of Greenville, Ohio. So Greenville, Ohio is here in central Dark County. So this is from storms hours ago, potential tornado damage. We'll have to see what the Weather Service says about that. But the football press box at Greenville High School has been destroyed. Numerous trees down everywhere, and Greenville schools will be closed tomorrow. So if you know anyone in Greenville and Dark County, Greenville schools will be closed tomorrow. And the press box at the football stadium has been destroyed. Again, that's from storms that were a problem earlier. In fact, that's probably the same storm. Not probably, it is the same storm that is now moving through Coshocton County and tagged tornado possible by the National Weather Service here in Pittsburgh. Okay, so that's kind of the recap of what we're seeing right now. Again, a strong storm moving through Ross and Pike County. And we are going from there. So Canton does not currently have a severe thunderstorm warning. Excuse me. But it does have a strong thunderstorm with a lot of rain and wind. So that's kind of what we're looking at with that storm there. All right, I am going to take a moment to confer with my teammates, and I will be right back. I'm just going to kind of show you a broader view of what's going on at the moment out of the Wilmington radar, just so we can see that severe warned storm in Coshocton, Ross, and Pike counties. All right, so as I said that, we now have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson, Vinton, Gallia, and northern Lawrence County. And this new severe thunderstorm warning is now going to run until 1:15 in the morning. And this is for that same very strong severe thunderstorm that is marching its way through southern Ross and Pike County. Again, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southern Vinton, Jackson, Gallia, even a very small southeastern portion of Meigs County and northern Lawrence County until that'll run until 1:15 in the morning. Your main threats are 60-mile-per-hour straight line wind that's about to head into Jackson County, has been marching through Pike County for quite a while now, and could even have hail up to an inch in diameter. So that's roughly a quarter in diameter as we speak. All right, so just to recap, we have that severe thunderstorm warning, mostly for Coshocton County, tag tornado possible until 12:30. And I'm trying to get some data out of the Columbus radar here, and it doesn't seem to be loading. All right, we'll try to see if we can't load that up for you guys here really quick. All right, it doesn't seem to be wanting to load. All right, so we'll switch back to the Wilmington radar. That again is tagged tornado possible, but generally that's a history of strong storms there. The strongest storm I believe right now is this one heading into Jackson, Vinton, Gallia, and northern Lawrence County until 1:15. Some straight line wind up to 60 miles per hour, and maximum hail size up to about an inch. Then we have flash flood warnings for Cincinnati area until about 1 to 3 in the morning, or 1 to 2 in the morning, depending on where in the metro you live. And then we have one severe thunderstorm warning back here in Indiana. So as we zoom out, we can see the overall severe weather threat is weakening a little bit. We still have a couple warnings out there, like the ones I just mentioned. We are going to wrap up our live coverage right now. Because of the nature of these storms, We only have a couple more of these storms, and hopefully they'll be exiting our viewing area within the next half hour to an hour. I'd love to stick with you guys. I love covering severe weather and trying to keep people safe, but I do have to head to the classroom in the morning. 6 a.m. alarm is coming fast, and again, I do hope that everyone out there is going to stay safe. I highly recommend downloading the Ohio News and Weather app, and making sure those wireless emergency alerts on your phone are um, active. Because that is multiple ways to receive warnings. Don't rely on just tornado sirens alone. Even if you have your window open, you might be a heavy sleeper and not hear them. So please have a way to wake up if any warnings are issued. That can include a NOAA weather radio. That can include again our Ohio News and Weather app, text messages from the National Weather Service. It can also include those wireless emergency alerts that you can get automatically on your phone. So have those ready. Even a local any sort of local weather app. We'd obviously prefer the Ohio News and Weather app. It's pretty good and very sturdy, and gets you the information you need. You can download that from Google Play or the App Store. But again, the wireless emergency alerts are very important as well. So, um, all right, again, I'm going to wrap up. We do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings that are due to expire here at 12:30, and the one for Jackson, Gallia, Vinton, and Northern Lawrence until 1:15. Stay safe, everybody, and have a wonderful night.